here. Listen to this. A side result, an unintended consequence of the Me Too movement has popped up. Male executives and managers, some are now saying they are afraid to work with and mentor female colleagues.
What's up, YouTube? Today, we are covering how the Me Too movement ended up betraying both women and men, as covered by this mainstream media. So, let's get into it, shall we?
Find out, is it too hard to see the difference between mentoring and harassment? Joining me now to discuss, Tiffany DeFoo, founder and CEO of The Crew and author of Drop the Ball, and Shelley Zalis, CEO of The Female Quotient. Tiffany, I turn to you first. So men who are making this argument, well, suddenly now I could be accused of harassment. I can't mentor women anymore. And we first heard this pop up from Wall Street. Bloomberg had an article. I took issue with it because I can't find any evidence where there was ever any extraordinary mentoring on Wall Street. We've never had a female CEO of a bank. So is this just an excuse?
So here's the thing. I want to talk to all the men out there who have this concern. I want to say that I feel empathy. I understand. You're concerned that you're walking on eggshells. You feel vulnerable in the workplace. You're concerned that your words or your behavior might be misinterpreted as being something other than who you are.
We don't know what the new rules of the road are.
Welcome to the world of being a woman or a person of color or a member of the LGBT community.
Madam, that's not the issue at all. The issue is men don't want to lose their job by a false allegation where we are declared guilty till proven innocent. That is the problem. Also, madam, stop lying on mainstream media. You clearly do not feel empathy at all. The reason why I'm saying this is because empathy without acknowledgement is a mask. It's a form of deception and manipulation. That's all it is.
Disabilities in the workplace. That is part of the experience, having to take a risk in showing up. You're concerned that you may be labeled as a creep because you compliment me on my beautiful dress. You know what? Sometimes I'm labeled as the B word because I smile too much. I think that we need to take this new experience that men are feeling in the workplace and actually channel it into something really positive, which is, why don't you work on creating a more inclusive culture and taking all of your frustration, directing it at the men who are making you look really bad, the bad apples, and not punish women in the workplace, because quite frankly, your whole enterprise is going to crumble if you don't figure out how to leverage and harness the ingenuity and creativity and talent of the women.
What creative and talent and ingenuity and talent are you referring to, madam? Like, men are the ones who built the world. We did. We built the world. The majority of all these businesses that you're talking about were built by men. They were. Also, you keep pushing everything back onto men. Just blame men for everything. That action literally reinforces what men have been saying for quite some time now, which is you're mentally incapable of holding your fellow women accountable for their behavior. If you really wanted to help this problem and help your fellow women as well as men and build a more diverse and inclusive atmosphere at the work location like you keep saying you want to, you would be willing to go on this mainstream media news channel and you'll be willing to tell your fellow women, hey, to all the women who are making false allegations towards men, cease and assist. You're no longer just hurting the men anymore, you are also hurting the women. But hey, that's not going to happen, and we all know the reason why.
The coin with me. You and I are both women who have been mentored by men. We have spent our careers with men, having lots of close personal, social relationships. And many, many times people have said, well, how did she get there? Why is he bringing her? So there's not no truth to it.
Listen, I think the biggest issue today is we're living in a climate of hypersensitivity, microsensitivity. Men are afraid to do and say the wrong thing in today's post-movement era, which is a big issue. And look at us, there's so few female leaders. Leaders are predominantly men, and we need leaders to be our mentors. And if leaders, which are predominantly men, are afraid to be with women alone, we have a big issue. We have a really big issue. 3.5 times more men say today that they will not go alone with a woman for dinner. 5 times more likely men not wanting to travel with women.
This is a big problem. When we first heard this from Mike Pence, we laughed at it. We said it was absurd. And now if we're actually hearing this from business people, I am worried.
Well, here's the thing. There's lots of ways that the current system, as it was not allowing opportunities for women, for people of color, for people in the workplace to advance, because oftentimes when you choose a mentor, you choose someone who's like yourself. I think that this can present all kinds of opportunities for opening up the playing field to...
Madam, there is literally nothing stopping you right now from doing whatever it is you want that's not biologically related. Also, madam, you're giving off a false narrative of history. You said that back then there were not that many opportunities for women to enter the workforce. Well, have you ever bothered asking yourself what employment opportunities actually existed back then in the colonial times? They were either mining, sewer wasting, farm picking, very hard jobs women wanted nothing to do with. The cushion jobs you like right now are jobs that were literally invented by men. They were.
Get the kind of leadership development and exposure and insight and advice that they need. You don't have to have, if you're not going to have a dinner or a closed door meeting with a woman, how about you not have it with the young men either? How about you choose 3 or 4 or 5 up and coming people in your industry? How about you have a group lunch, right? Where you give your insight, you encourage them to then peer coach one another.
The reason why, madam, is because with the male employees, we don't have to worry about a false allegation where we are going to be declared guilty till proven innocent. We don't have a solid track record of that. Where the majority of women here in the West, you do have a solid track record. Honestly, why is it so difficult for you ladies to hold your fellow women accountable? Why is it so difficult for the majority of Western women, as a direct result of the feminist movement, to just say, hey, miss, you're taking this too far. You need to take it back a notch. Why can't you just do that?
Crew so that they can support one another. I think there are all kinds of ways in which we really need to think about how we advance talent, how we support people, that opens up the playing field for everybody as opposed to being more exclusionary. We don't want to go in that direction.
In a formal sense, that will be fantastic, but it is also those informal connections that really make a huge difference in people's careers. And do we run the risk right now of losing that while the rules of engagement are so unclear?
Well, I think that's why it's time to rewrite the rules. I think it's time
But who's going to rewrite them, and then who's going to tell us what they are? Because I don't know it.
I always, we always say it takes a village to raise a family. What is the 21st century today of a village? And I think it includes our companies. And that's what we have to really be thinking about, creating a culture of care, a culture of safety, a culture of security, a culture where we all belong, a culture we can thrive.
If you really want a culture where we can all thrive, madam, what you would do is tell your fellow women, hey, we need to allow men to have due process within the work location. Violating a man's constitutional right to due process is literally what is creating the problem in the first place. Why can't you just say that? Like, why? Just say it. Hey, the problem, the source of the issue here is women are violating men's constitutional right to due process. Just say it. Just say it. You can do it. You can do it. But yeah, that's all you gotta do. And right now, it's affecting women too, because men have noticed it, and we are reacting to it, and we are adapting to it. We have learned.
This is a trend that is a really scary trend, and the way to move forward is with positivity, proactive solutions for change, and getting all of us to own this responsibility. And when you think about it, what's okay and not okay? There's a range of men from clueless to creepy to classy. You know, there's 3 categories, right? And I think in the post-movement era, we just need a new education of what's okay and not okay. And every generation has a different perspective. If you tell me I look nice, I'm going to say thank you. If we tell someone else they look nice, they might be offended. So before we call that bad behavior as bad behavior.
Madam, what you just described has no consistency to it at all whatsoever. It's literally whatever a woman says it is based on her feelings at the time. There is no ethics involved in what you described at all. Which is also a reason why men are actively avoiding women at the work location. Because I believe another influencer once said this, where, hey, we invite you into our space. Oh, but then you go off and say, now that I'm here, you're going to run everything the way I want you to run it. And because if you say, sorry, let me backtrack. Okay. Now that you're in my space, you're going to run everything the way I want to run it. Because if you refuse, I'm going to threaten to make a false allegation on TikTok or Facebook, and you're going to want to settle in order to prevent that, because the nature of a false allegation online will be very damaging to you, because I have every single intention on violating your constitutional right to due process. Isn't it funny how feminists like this reveal so much just by asking, just when you question them? Which is also the reason why feminists like this do not want men to have the constitutional right to due process. Because after all, think about it, everybody. If just asking feminist questions like this is what's going to make them reveal so much, imagine what will get revealed if we actually conduct an actual non-biased, real investigation on the matter. Oh wait, that actually did happen. It happened when feminists accused pretty much every Western country of the gender pay gap, which was debunked. And when it got debunked, it revealed a lot of things about the feminist movement, which is why the feminist movement does not want to let it go. Exactly. Anyways, that's all I got time for this one. I'll see y'all next.